Hi, Jim here. This is The Honest Filmmaker, and today I'm going to be talking about subtitling your feature film. So this would primarily be for a platform like FilmHub, but this could also be for companies like Indie Rights, or if you're delivering to a sales agent or a distributor. So subtitles can be tricky because the last thing you want is to submit subtitles that then get rejected, sent back, which delay your release date. So I recently put a film on FilmHub for the first time, and this is how I did my subtitles. And this to me is probably the cheapest and safest way to do your subtitles. Before you get onto subtitles, you really need to make sure the film is finished and in the exact shape it needs to be for delivery. So a couple of things to watch out for with that is, if you're delivering it to a streaming platform, make sure you've got a couple of seconds of black at the beginning, a couple of seconds at the black at the end, but no more than a couple of seconds. You also want to make sure that you've got no dead sound space within that film. So whatever system it's getting plugged into, whether it's into Amazon or FilmHub, when they do their quality control on it, if they see any moments within that WAV that are completely dead, they might well fail the film. So make sure you've got consistency and you've got audio throughout. The other reason you want to make sure your film is completely finished and done before you move on to subtitles is because any timing changes you make to that film are going to push your subtitles out. So the cheapest way of doing your subtitles, but this can be very painful, is to actually create a text file and go in and type in manually all of the timings yourself based on your script that line up with your feature. I wouldn't advise doing that because it's going to take you forever, and it's potentially you're going to make a lot of errors as you go through. So I use a platform called Veed. Now on Veed, you can subscribe for just 1 month. So this is why your film needs to be completely ready, because what you want to do is subscribe for that 1 month, use the first week of that month to get your subtitles done, then submit, and hopefully you'll find out whether your subtitles have passed QC before you get to that next month. So you're only paying for 1 month subscription. There's a light version and a pro version, and there are advantages to both. But remember, when you subscribe, you only want to subscribe for a month, and that costs about £19 for the light one, £39 for pro. I'm sure you can do your own calculations into dollars. So once you've subscribed to Veed, and you can do any sort of subscription, but I suggest you just do a month on Veed, because that's all you're going to need to get your subtitles done. Once you go into Veed, you'll need to ingest your video file. So that would be done by clicking on Create, uploading your files into the project. I've got one that already exists. So this is my timeline with my movie on. So this is an old film we've recently re-released called The Witch's Hammer. So what I would have done here is I'd have gone into subtitles and I'd have clicked on create subtitles, and then what Veed does is it automatically creates all of the subtitles for you along the left here. You can then zoom into these subtitles, the individual subtitles, and adjust them. So you adjust them as you go over here. So I could put creepy footsteps and it'll apply that to that subtitle. The good thing about this system is Veed will let you know if these subtitles are too small, because one of the things that Amazon picks up on is if your subtitles aren't on screen long enough for somebody to read, then it might well get rejected. Also, if you've got too much text on screen, Veed will tell you if there's too much text on screen, because that could also get you your subtitles sent back to you if you've got too much on there. What it'll also do is it will highlight words that it's not sure about. So you can see here we've got the word David. Obviously it's a name, so Veed's not sure, but that also speeds up your process of going through and highlights potential words. So if you've got a specific organization or entity in your film that's got a unique name that Veed won't automatically recognize, Veed will pick it up in here, give you an easy chance to edit it. And as you scroll through, you just see all your subtitles laid out like this. Any warnings will come up, as you can see. It's not a real word, low confidence word. I can say that's correct, and it will stop highlighting. This will give me the entire timeline of the movie, and when I'm finished, all I have to do is go up here, save it. I mean, it does save automatically as I'm working on it. So you're not really worried that much about the style of subtitle. You can actually, if you wanted to, you can go in and tweak the style, but that won't have any effect on what goes through to Amazon or FilmHub. All you're interested in is that SRT file. So to get that SRT file, you just go up here to this little button, click download, choose SRT format, and it will download that SRT of those subtitles. Another thing worth thinking about is when you are adding your subtitles, what's going to happen is the systems on FilmHub and Amazon are going to be looking for sounds and voices. And if they detect a sound or a voice that hasn't got a subtitle associated with it, it could potentially get rejected. So for example, I've got a section here where there's a vampire growl. Now, it's much safer for me to put in vampire growls, even though I've got 4 of these. It's safer to put that in just so it doesn't get rejected, because the system might think somebody's saying something and I haven't put a subtitle in. You can also have things like you might have a soundscape of kind of, here I've got a sequence where there's a load of dead bodies and there's echoes of the vampire attack that killed them all. It's definitely worth putting that up on screen so that the subtitle system recognizes that there are potentially voices there, and I've explained what they are. Obviously, it's also good for anyone who needs to rely on the subtitles to be able to understand what's happening with the audio. Also within the film, so this is the lead baddie in the film. She's doing some chanting because she's creating a spell. On the day, she just made it up, and it's just non-stop. It's just gibberish. Now, I could try to translate what she's saying into text, but it's just pointless. But there is a long section of this, and because it's a voice, I've literally put the character name and that she chants, and I've had to do that throughout this sequence so that the system doesn't detect somebody talking and then wonder why there isn't a subtitle. So I also put in subtitles for when music begins, because again, this might be a little spike in the WAV that might make the system think there's potentially some talk in there. And it's also good to highlight those themes when they come in particular, the type of music. So the very beginning of the film, we open with some sad music, then it goes ominous, then we get some creepy footsteps. So this gives the viewer a hint at what emotions we're trying to elicit when you're watching these opening sequences. One of the other things you need to do is delineate between 2 people who are having a conversation within the same subtitle. So here you can see I've got 2 lines. Am I dead? No. Now, that's enough. What I've done there is to do 2 lines with a dash, so we know it's 2 different people. But if you wanted to, you could go in and put in the character names. So I could put in Rebecca, and here we've got man. So I'll put his line in here. So another thing Veed does, which is really good, is if you're on a yearly contract, it will also translate subtitles. Now this can be useful because it can open your film up to lots of other territories. So for example, you can do all your subtitles, get them right. With the press of a button, it will spit out all of those subtitles in French, which means you can release the film in France and in Canada, or you can press a button and it will do German. It's literally got hundreds of different languages on there. The only thing to take into account is the yearly subscription works on the basis of how many hours of subtitling you use. So that amount will go down the more of those different languages you use. But if there's specific ones that you think, okay, if I do Spanish, that'll unlock all of these territories, it's definitely worth considering. The only potential issue there is, and I'm exploring this at the moment, so please drop this in the comments if you know the answer, but once you've submitted your film to a platform like FilmHub, you may have to pay a fee to then add further subtitles on to be quality controlled. Now, I'm not sure about this. Chuck it in the comments if you know otherwise. But potentially, if you want to make sure you don't get that cost, then it will be worth doing those translations first and submitting them when you submit the film. I hope that's been useful. If you've got any other tips on subtitling, please drop it into the comments. I'll be eager to learn them. If there's a cheaper way of doing your subtitles, or if you've had any successes with other platforms, let me know. Please do subscribe to The Honest Filmmaker for more tips and tricks for indie filmmaking.